Welcome to the deep dive, where we take that pile of information you have and turn it into, hopefully, some sparkling insights.
That's the plan.
Today, we're diving into some really compelling stuff about what makes great teachers tick. We're looking at Teach Like a Champion, the book by Doug Lemoff. It's got, 49 techniques?
That's right, 49 specific techniques, widely used, widely discussed.
So our mission here is to pull out the most practical, the most actionable bits from his observations, basically helping you understand the how-to behind really effective teaching.
Think of it like a shortcut.
Exactly, a shortcut to the mechanics of excellence in the classroom.
And that how-to part is just so crucial. This deep dive, it isn't just theory,
Right.
It's about things you can actually see teachers doing. Repeatable actions that, demonstrably lead to better student outcomes.
So Lemoff's work kind of pushes us past our assumptions.
Totally.
Yeah.
It makes you focus on what actually works day to day in a real classroom, not just what sounds good. And what's really fascinating, I think, is just the sheer dedication to observation behind it.
And that drive for equity too, right? That seems central.
Absolutely. That underpins everything.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Lemoff starts with this powerful comparison. He says great teaching is like art, painting, sculpture. But then he says, behind every artist is an artisan. What's he really getting at there?
That's such a key insight. He's saying, yeah, we celebrate the art, the inspiration, the vision.
The magic moment.
Right. But that magic is built on mastering the basics, the fundamental techniques, the artisan skills.
Like Michelangelo needing to master the chisel first.
Exactly that. Before he could sculpt David, he spent ages just learning stone, learning his tools. The source even mentions Picasso's notebooks.
Oh, yeah.
Filled with these, incredibly meticulous sketches, practicing the fundamentals of drawing again and again.
Even though we know him for, throwing the rule book out later.
Precisely. So that mastery of the tools, the techniques, it came first. It's what allowed the later artistic vision. You need the craft.
So just having a big idea isn't enough. You need the skills, the building blocks to actually make it happen in a classroom.
You got it. And Lemoff himself, it sounds like he had this kind of aha moment.
Yeah, the source calls him the John Madden of teaching, like diagramming teaching moves.
Huh. Yeah, I can picture that. Yep. He realized he needed, not just buzzwords like have high expectations.
Which sound great,
But don't tell you what to do. He needed concrete, specific, actionable advice. Things you could actually practice.
It's that classic problem, isn't it? You get told, be inspiring.
Right. And you're standing there Monday morning thinking, okay, how?
How do I do that with 30 kids looking at me?
Exactly. So Lemoff makes this sharp distinction between a strategy like the big idea, run from the front in a race.
Okay.
And a technique.
Yeah.
The specific action like lean forward 5 degrees. It's the technique you practice to get faster.
Not just thinking about the strategy.
Right. And that really makes you wonder, are we focusing enough on that practical how-to in teacher training? Or are we stuck on theory sometimes?
Which leads right into his core philosophy. What's good is what works. Simple as that.
Yeah, very pragmatic. He wasn't chasing fancy ideas if they didn't actually boost student achievement.
He looked at these rock star teachers, often in tougher schools, right? Low-income areas.
Exactly. Teachers whose students were outperforming kids in more affluent areas. And he looked for the tiny things they did.
Not the grand speeches, but like how they greet kids, how long they wait for an answer.
All those micro-interactions. It was about efficacy, measurable results, not just whether an idea sounded theoretically elegant.
And the classrooms weren't like magic.
No, not at all. They were run by artisans, really.
Yeah.
Teachers whose attention to technique and execution set them apart.
And the results. Places like uncommon schools.
Yeah, the data is pretty compelling. Serving mostly minority, high-poverty students. Brooklyn, Rochester.
And getting proficiency rates like 98, 100%.
In some cases, yeah. Now, obviously, discussions about proficiency, achievement gaps, those are complex, right? There are debates about tests, systemic issues.
Of course.
But what Lemoff's work zeroes in on, within all that complexity, is the impact of the teaching itself. These specific techniques driving incredible results.
Showing that teaching craft can really move the needle, even against big challenges.
Exactly. Focusing on what actually delivers results in the room.
Okay, this is where it gets really eye-opening for me. The book talks about the irony of what works.
Ah, yes.
Techniques that are super efficient, dizzyingly efficient, he says. but that educational theorists might just overlook.
They're seen as too mundane, almost.
Yeah, like beneath their notice. Can you give an example? What's one of these overlooked but powerful techniques?
Oh, the classic one is teaching kids how to pass out papers.
Passing out papers? Seriously?
Seriously. Doug McCurry at Amistad Academy. First day. Spends maybe a minute teaching the system.
Not just hand these out.
No. Specifics. Pass across the rows. Start on command. Only one person moves at a time.
Okay.
Then they practice it against a stopwatch. 10 seconds. Nice. Can we do 8?
And the kids like that.
They love it. It's a challenge. And look, it sounds tiny, right?
It does sound really small.
But it saves time, adds up to about 4% more instructional time over the year. But more than that.
It sets a tone.
Exactly. It built a culture where even the small things are done right, with precision. Excellence in the little details.
But, like the source says, you probably wouldn't find how to pass out papers in an education school curriculum.
Not likely. It's recognizing that huge value hidden in the seemingly mundane, accumulative power of these small, consistent actions.
Wow. Okay. Simple but profound. It shows how getting those routines down frees up mental space for the actual learning.
Precisely.
All right, let's peel back the layers, get into some more of these specific techniques. Let's start with one called no opt-out. Sounds pretty direct.
It is. It's all about accountability. The basic idea. If a student starts out unable to answer, the sequence isn't over until they do answer correctly.
So no more I don't know and moving on?
Exactly. That's not an acceptable final answer. It's about changing the culture. Making effort the norm.
How does it work, though, like in the moment?
Okay, so imagine you ask James, what's 6 times 8? And he just shrugs.
Happens all the time.
Right. So instead of just saying, okay, anyone else? You might turn to Jabari. Jabari says 48.
Got it.
Then, crucially, you turn right back to James. You tell me, James, what's 6 times 8?
So he still has to say it.
He has to say it. He has to voice the correct answer. And think about the impact on everyone listening.
They know they might be called back to.
Right. It keeps everyone engaged. They know they need to track the answer because it might come back to them. It makes listening active, not passive.
So it helps students see that getting it wrong or not knowing immediately is just part of the process.
Exactly. It normalizes that step on the way to getting it right. Full participation is always expected.
Okay, building on that need for correctness. There's right is right. High standards here.
This one sets the bar at 100% correct. No almost there or pretty close.
Yep, 100%.
That feels tough. Doesn't it risk shutting kids down if they're trying but not quite perfect?
Yeah.
How does that work with encouraging participation?
That's a really important question. It's not about squashing effort. It's about clarity on what mastery actually looks like, especially for college readiness.
Okay.
The source gives this great example. A teacher asks for the definition of a peninsula. Student says, it's like where water goes into the land.
Okay, sort of close.
Sort of. And the teacher says right, but then clarifies it's where land goes into water. But by saying right first...
You actually confused them, mixed up peninsulas and bays.
Exactly. You've accidentally reinforced the wrong idea. The right is right approach says you correct it directly, clearly. So you'd say, not quite. A peninsula is where land is surrounded on 3 sides by water. Can you repeat that?
Precisely. You make sure they can articulate the accurate, college-ready definition. You become the defender of right answers.
So the rigor isn't meant to be punitive. It's about ensuring they have the solid foundation they need later.
Exactly. And it works with techniques like no opt-out. You create safety to try, but the goal is always full correctness. You raise the bar and help them reach it.
Okay, so once a student does get it all the way right, the learning doesn't just stop there. That brings us to stretch it.
Right. This is about deepening the understanding.
Making sure they didn't just guess or repeat something by rote.
Exactly. Stretch it basically means you reward a right answer with more questions.
Okay, like what kind of questions?
You might ask how they got the answer or why it's correct. You could ask for a better word, like they say cold. You ask, can you think of a more precise word? Maybe frigid.
Okay, vocabulary building.
Or asking for evidence, especially in reading or history. What in the text makes you say that? Or integrating skills.
How does that work?
Well, say a student uses the noun passion correctly in a sentence. Instead of just moving on, you stretch it. Great. Now can you use the adjective form? Describe a passionate leader.
I see. Testing their understanding of the word family.
Yeah, it pushes the cognitive work deeper. It makes sure they really own the knowledge, not just parrot it back, extending their thinking.
Makes sense. Okay, so beyond what kids say, Lemov also stresses how they say it. That's format matters.
Mm-hmm. The language of opportunity.
He says the complete sentence is the battering ram that knocks down the door to college. Strong words.
Very strong.
But, for some listeners, this might bump up against ideas about valuing authentic student voice, maybe dialects or less formal language. How does Lemov address that?
Yeah, that's a really valid point to bring up. He's not saying authentic voice doesn't matter, but he is saying there's a specific academic and professional code.
Like a standard dialect.
Sort of, yeah. A set of communication norms that signal readiness for college, for professional settings. And he argues that teaching students that code is crucial for equity. It gives them access.
So how do teachers do it without constantly interrupting or making kids feel corrected?
The key is low transaction cost. Quick, seamless corrections.
Like?
So, a teacher named Daryl Williams, a student says, "It gots to be." Williams just repeats back, "It gots to be," with a little questioning lift.
Ah, prompting self-correction.
Exactly. Or he might offer a sentence stem. "It has." And the student finishes it correctly. It happens fast, keeps the lesson flowing, but consistently reinforces that standard grammar.
So it's about building habits of precise expression that will serve them later, making sure their voice gets heard and respected everywhere.
That's the idea. Giving them the tools to navigate different contexts.
Okay, last one we'll dive into today, without apology. This one feels more like a mindset shift.
It really is deeply important.
It's about never apologizing for the material being taught or for the students themselves. No, this is boring, or this might be too hard.
Absolutely. Think about how often teachers might, maybe unintentionally, apologize for content. "Okay, guys, I know this chapter is kind of dry, but let's just power through it."
Yeah, I've heard that.
What does that do? It signals the material isn't valuable. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Of course it's boring if you're told it is.
Right.
The source tells this lovely story about a student stumbling into a class on British romantic poets expecting nothing
And
and finding it totally life-changing because the teacher taught it with such passion and conviction in its worth.
wow. And the other side is apologizing for students, assuming something's too hard for them.
Which is so dangerous,
Yeah.
assuming some kids just can't handle challenging material. The source mentions inner-city kids learning Mandarin Chinese, something many people might have doubted was possible.
But they did it successfully.
They did. It's about having this unwavering belief, both in the inherent value of what you're teaching and in every single student's capacity to grapple with it and master it. No excuses, no lowering the bar based on assumptions.
Okay, so wrapping this up. We've looked at just a handful of these techniques from teach like a champion.
Just scratching the surface, really.
Yeah. No opt-out for accountability. Right is right for precision. Stretch it for depth. Format matters for communication. Without apology for belief.
They're not just isolated tricks, though.
No, you can see how they connect. They're deliberate actions, sometimes tiny, that build a whole classroom culture.
Exactly. A culture where effort is expected, mistakes are learning opportunities, transitions are sharp, language is precise. It all weaves together.
It really challenges you to see the hidden power in consistency, in refining those small, everyday teaching moves.
That cumulative effect again, it's all interconnected.
So, thinking about all this, what really stands out to you, this deep dive, it really hammers home that excellence is often about mastering the fundamentals, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Relentless improvement, unwavering belief in potential.
It's about the craft, deliberate practice, making that art of teaching happen through disciplined artisan work day in, day out.
Well put.
So the question for you listening is, how could focusing on specific actionable techniques, even the seemingly mundane ones, transform how you learn or teach or coach or maybe even parent? It's a powerful reminder that sometimes mastery starts with just nailing the basics.